Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Prediction season for us here at the channel is just around the corner. We are almost there, the best time of the year. But we thought today we would take a look at what some other people are thinking, some other predictions, some of the big dogs. It's like ESPN's FPI, the Football Power Index. What are they predicting for all of the Power 5 teams, which is, of course, all the teams that we will be predicting before we do our conference recaps for all of the Group of 5 teams. Today, guys, we thought we'd take a look at the SEC. That'll be the first conference we take a look at. Again, these are not our predictions. They are the FPI predictions, the Football Power Index, and obviously some of the results are kind of shocking. Some of these predictions are kind of shocking. And again, the Power Index, guys, is something that's been wildly inaccurate for years and years and years now, but we still thought it'd be pretty fun to take a look at them. So, let's start over in the SEC West. I don't think anybody's going to argue too much with Alabama being first at 11-1. When the other question is, who might that loss be to? We don't know, but very rarely does the FPI project someone to go 12-0. Alabama, of course, did not go undefeated last year. They might lose a game this year. Maybe could be Arkansas, could be Tennessee, could be LSU, could be who knows who it'll be, right? It's $1 million question. LSU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, all coming in at 8-4. All of them coming in at 8-4. Some of those might be a surprise. LSU being that high could be a surprise to some, considering they have a lot of questions that have yet to be answered, and they're dealing with a new head coach in Brian Kelly coming over from Notre Dame. Could be a surprise to see Texas A&M at 8-4, considering all the offseason hype that they are getting, and of course a lot of sparring that's been going on between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. But A&M at 8-4, that would be a very disappointing year for the 12th man, a very disappointing year for the Aggie faithful, who have just been suffering, kind of mediocre season after mediocre season under Jimbo Fisher, never really breaking through under him. Auburn coming in at 7-5 ahead of Arkansas. So Arkansas in at 6 in the SEC West. That could come as a surprise. Auburn was not that great last year. They were dealing with a lot of off-the-field issues in the offseason, mainly surrounding Brian Harsin. A lot of the big boosters wanted Brian Harsin off the plains, out of Auburn, but he's sticking around. They've got to figure out their quarterback questions. TJ Finley, Zach Calzada, things like that, and also have to manage a very difficult schedule. 7-5 would be a fantastic year for Auburn, even though many fans probably wouldn't think so. But Arkansas below them at 6 is a surprise to many. The Razorbacks won 9 games last year, 8-4 in the regular season, won their bowl game over Penn State. Seeing them at just 7-5, so taking a step back with arguably a better team now than they had last year, and finishing 6th in the SEC West after finishing in the top part of it last year, would be disappointing for Hog fans. It's surprising the FPI has them that low. And in the West, rounding out, the West FPI predictions being rounded out by Mississippi State, coming in at 6-6. Take that with how you will. Will Rogers and Mike Leach are putting together something pretty special in Starkville. That passing attack is one of the most difficult ones, obviously, to stop in the entire country. 6 wins for Mississippi State probably would be disappointing. I think many would think they could win at least 7 or 8 this year. But going bowling in Starkville is the number one goal. The FPI does have them doing that. Over in the East, that's where things get interesting as well. No one will probably argue the fact that they have Georgia at 11-1, although many out there, with as favorable as the schedule is, probably will have Georgia at 12-0. Again, who would they lose to? Could it be Kentucky? Could it be Tennessee? Could it be Oregon in the season opener? 11-1, again, the FPI rarely projecting someone to go undefeated, although Georgia definitely has a very good chance to do that this year. Kentucky coming in at 2nd at 8-4 would be a solid year for the Wildcats. They won 10 games last year, 9 in the regular season, then won their bowl game over Iowa to get that 10th win. Mark Stoops continuing to do a phenomenal job with the Wildcats. With 8-4 be viewed as a disappointment in a year where many think that Kentucky could win 9 or 10 regular season games. Great quarterback in Will Levis, pretty strong defense, schedule not all that bad. 8-4 though, 2nd in the East, another solid bowl game, wouldn't be too disappointing considering the suffering that Kentucky football went through for years and years and years before Mark Stoops finally arrived. Florida in at 7-5, ahead of Tennessee. That's interesting, considering Florida's dealing with a brand new head coach in Billy Napier. Was not great at all last year, did go bowling, but was wildly disappointing. 7-5 ahead of a Tennessee team who did win 7 games last year, was very, very good and efficient offensively with Hendon Hooker. It has very lofty expectations going into 2022. I think a 7-5 year for the Volunteers would be disappointing, while a 7-5 year for Florida would be great, even though, again, the Gator faithful would not be happy with that, just like Auburn. Considering the circumstances of what they're dealing with, 7-5 for Auburn and Florida would be good years. But their expectations typically are much higher than that, and that's why 7-5 would be viewed as disappointing. But more so, to me, Tennessee at 7-5 I think is a little bit shocking. Tennessee, like Arkansas, arguably going to be better this year than they were last year, and the FPI has them staying about the same or maybe even taking a minor step back. South Carolina in at 6-6. They did that last year in year one under Shane Beamer, getting to a bowl game in his first year, defeating North Carolina to win 7 games on the year. 6-6 would be a bit of a disappointment considering his addition of Spencer Rattler and all of the hype surrounding South Carolina football going into 2022. Are they expected to win the East? No. Are they going to be, playoff contenders? No. But I think South Carolina faithful are expecting maybe 7 or 8 wins considering all the talent and the recruiting that Beamer has brought in. And again, the excitement around the program that I would say really hasn't been there since the Spurrier days back in the late 2000s, 2010, 2011, 2012, years like that. Missouri in at 6-6. Sounds about right. That'd be a pretty good year for Eli Drinkwitz. Just get the Tigers to a bowl game. Not a lot of talent there for Missouri right now. Still have a handful of questions. Disappointing 2021. I think getting to a bowl game would complete the job for him. And then Vanderbilt in at 3-9. That for many probably isn't a shock either. Some would say 3 wins might be generous for the Commodores as they enter year 2 under Clark Lee. So you look at this, guys. These are, just, again, not our predictions here at the channel. Those will be beginning here in just a few weeks. And I can guarantee you that our predictions by the time the season ends will be much more accurate than these here from the FPI, although they might not please all of you. They will be more accurate just like they've been each of the last 5 years. But it's always interesting to take a look at what the metrics and the computers predict for these teams across the country, because some of these make sense, some of these we can see, some of these we cannot, and it's kind of surprising to look at how a team did last year, expect them to be better this upcoming year, and the computers have them taking a step back. Why do they have them doing that? Does that make sense? Do you agree? Do you disagree? We want to hear from you. We're going through all of the Power 5 conferences, breaking down their FPI predictions, and as soon as those are over, we're bringing you our predictions. They're going to be much more fun, a lot more entertaining, and of course, by the end of it all, a lot more accurate. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. We don't want you to miss out on any of the content we have for you coming over these next few weeks, because when prediction starts, we're going to have content every single day until the season starts. And then, of course, every single day after that. So we don't want you to miss out on any of the content. Become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.